beautiful souls. So I digressed a little bit because I was working on Happy Mail. I need to get out some Happy Mail for a few friends of mine, and I'm gonna get back into it. I needed to get my feet wet on this new craft medium, and what you see here is a card that was made for me from a dear friend of mine. Her name is Sonia. She was the one that introduced me to this craft medium. I didn't know what it was until I saw this card and she explained to me what this is. And this art medium, this craft medium, is called Pergamano. And you use parchment to create this. I'm going to give you a little bit of history about it, but I want you to see the perforations on there. Look at that beautiful work. This is a lot of work. A lot of work. But I find it so relaxing. Ironically, it actually centers me when I'm doing it, you know, creating it. And it takes me to another place. It's the most relaxing craft medium that I've done that actually does that for me. And look at the details on this. This is all parchment. I'm sorry, vellum. The craft is used with parchment, but this is actually vellum and not parchment paper. So vellum can actually be used, but you have to use a heavyweight vellum to do that, to create it. Look at all this. Look at all that detail. And it's embossed. This is all embossed, and she painted it as well. Even these parts here are embossed. Gorgeous. So let me give you a history of what this craft medium is and where it originated. So parchment crafts, also known as Pergamano, it is said that this craft originated as an art in Europe during the 15th or 16th century. Parchment craft at that time, it occurred in Catholic communities and used in cards and gift cards or religious devotional cards. It actually started dying down after a while. However, by the 18th century, people were regaining interest and has become more detailed artwork, and cards became larger in size. As you can see here, this is a really large card. It's a really nice size. And crafters began adding wavy borders like this here, wavy borders, and perforations. And in the 19th century, influenced by French Romanticism, parchment crafters began adding floral themes, cherubs, and handmade embossing. So this technique is being applied for bookmarks, picture frames, as well as three-dimensional projects such as ornaments and boxes. I've actually seen those on Pinterest. They are stunning. I know personally that it's going to keep evolving because of where it is now. I do highly suggest going on Pinterest and typing in Pergamano or parchment crafts and view the artwork and designs. They are stunning, like really stunning. Okay, so I'm going to share what I've done, and this is my first time, so I'm a beginner. There's always room for improvement. So this is the card I made. And I'm actually going to turn this into a journal. I can't justify just having it as a card, as beautiful as it is. And yes, it will be admired even as a card. But I'm going to turn this into a journal. How beautiful would this be with other art, you know, with other parchment crafts in it, Pergamano crafts in it. That would be amazing throughout the journal. So I do have a few tools that I bought, but all you need is a few stylus tools or ball tools, as you know, most people know it as. And sorry, I got distracted. My son is opening the front door. And a pokey tool. That's pretty much all you need. And then you can also get free designs on Pinterest and download them and print them out, and you're good to go. And all you're doing is embossing the parchment paper or the vellum paper, And I did say you need a heavier weight vellum paper, otherwise it's going to rip. So here I made this bow using a die. Actually, you could also die cut the vellum, and I think a lot of you have done that already. And this is a bow from my creative time. So this is the die that I used to create this bow. However, I did create the tail. I sketched the tail and just cut it out to add it here. And I added the lace. I haven't seen lace on any cards that I've seen on Pinterest. And we are going to add things according to who we are, our unique creativity. So we're only limited by our imagination. So whatever goes. This is a bow from a mini die set that I have. Let me see, do I have it here? I can't seem to find it. Okay, well, like, the bows are so many. That's what I added here. These flowers I made using a punch. These roses, these rose buds I made using a punch. I mean, it's a really tiny, tiny flower. Okay, so yes, all of these flowers are handmade. I did make them. Okay, I also made some butterflies. This was actually the first one I made, and I need to put it on a black background. Hold on, so that you can actually see. Oh no, this is not working. Not working. Is that? No, the back is making the light bounce in a weird way, so not working. So I'll just turn this over. So yes, I perforated the wings on the butterfly, and I also did it underneath. This is my first try. This is a free pattern on Pinterest. However, it doesn't give you the design on the butterfly. This is actually the printable, okay? And the design is here, and the way they have this, it's going to be too big to perforate on the butterfly. So I kind of had to do it on my own and wing it. So that was my first try, and I think I did pretty good. It's a beautiful butterfly, and then I attempted to do it again. So this is what I did differently here. This has glass glitter, beautiful. And I have this tool specifically made for this craft, and it's a pattern grid. And okay, so my battery died on the camera. I believe I left off. I was about to show you guys this pattern grid. It is made to create these flowers. Those little tiny flowers you see there. So these have a lot of holes in it, but the way they designed this, it's diagonal. The holes are not like straight across or up and down, like evenly done. These are done in a way where you can create flowers. I did order the one that is actually straight because they both have different uses. And the company is called Groovy Pattern Grid. This one is the diagonal grid, and there's the info. I did get this off of Amazon, but there is a website. It's called Clarity Stamp that you can order from them as well. Okay, so that's how I created the flowers, because here I didn't have that tool yet, and I just did like this is called like a butterfly design or something, and it's also on here, but these are like super duper tiny, on there, and these are a little bit bigger because I did it manually. There's a tool that is this one here. This is the perforating tool. Come on. and it has 4 needles on it, and that's what makes this looks like this once you cut into it. So you perforate it and then you have to cut into it, and you have to cut into it a certain way. There are quite a bit of tutorials you know, to learn that technique, so I won't be showing that here unless you want me to do that. I will do it in a separate video. And so instead of making this design on the bottom, because it is very time consuming, I did it here, and it's extremely time consuming. What I did was I took that grid and I just punched holes on the bottom wing, and I also made this one a little bit bigger, as you can see there. It gives it a really nice design, and this is like the bottom wing is even like the top, so this gives it a little bit more interest. So those are the 2 butterflies I created, my first attempt, and then the redone one. Redo. This is a redo. Okay, so, and then I made this little one here because I wanted to put it on this card, but I couldn't figure out a spot to put it on, so I will, you know, put this on something else. And this I used to stamp from Bo Bunny. It's called Butterfly Kisses, and here it is. That's the one I used, and I just I stamped it twice, and I stamped it with Picket Fence Distress Ink by Tim Holtz, because it's white and it shows up on the parchment paper or the vellum paper. In my case, I used vellum. I ordered the parchment, but it hasn't come in yet. Okay, and then I emboss around it. So I stamp it and then I emboss it because I need to emboss the design, and I also cut into it, giving it a flower design on the wings. And this has glitter glass that my friend Ida had gifted me. Okay, here's another butterfly, also using this stamp, which is this one here. And this one also has glitter glass, and I used to color the images here and the butterfly and this butterfly, I used alcohol Copic markers. And this is supposed to look like that. The edges, this is called a picot. It's also a word that's used in crocheting, where it is supposed to leave like a little point on the end of your crochet work. Well, they're using that term for this craft medium as well. And then I did this butterfly and I put it on a card. Look how pretty that one came out. This is also from this stamp here, and it's actually this one down here. And I colored this one in, and I also added glitter, a glue glitter that I get from my local discount store, which is this one here. It's from Basic. It's a glitter glue. It's like Stickles, and as you can see, it's a lot cheaper and you get a lot more, a whole lot more. Okay, so that's what I used to embellish that even further. Look how pretty that is. That gold is really pretty. This card is from Stamperia, and this is actually the scanned image of it. Because once this is discontinued, we can't get it anymore. So I do scan certain paper pads so that I can keep using it, especially when they're as pretty as these. Okay, look how pretty this is. I used a die, a nesting die, which is this right here, and I used the small ones in the middle. And I backed it up with a piece of cardstock so you can see there are images, you know, coming through the vellum. And I used a tiny butterfly to stamp and cut this out. And I didn't emboss this. It looks embossed because of the white ink that I used. And I didn't emboss the flowers either. But it looks like it has the veins in it because of the white ink. Oh, and I highly suggest that if you're using the white ink, blast it with your heat gun for a little bit, because it will smudge. it doesn't dry very quickly on the vellum. It doesn't. Okay, so I did trace. I didn't cut this out with the die because I used my scallop tool to create this beautiful edging here. So I traced around it with a Prismacolor white pencil, colored pencil, and then I embossed it. And then I took this tool here. This is called a semicircle, and it does that. That's what it looks like to create the scallop edging on it. It's so pretty. I love that tool. I had ordered the regular size to it, and it got lost in transit, and they don't even have any more in stock on Amazon, so I'm a little bit bummed about it because I wanted the bigger size to that. But there it is, and I heat embossed it. You know, this is the embossing powder. It's gold, and that was also gifted to me by my friend Ida, and she I didn't have any of that, so I only got what I got because she gifted it to me. She gifted it to me, and that's what I have in my stash. I only have a gold and a pink embossing powder, and then she bought me the pad, you know, to stamp. So isn't that beautiful? And then I also used the glitter glue, this one here, to add to the flowers and to the leaves. And this is a leaf die that I have. Where is it? Oh, here it is. It looks like this. And what I did was I put it on the vellum, and then I taped it, and then I turned it over again, and I just used my Copics to color. You know, I don't have to do it neat because it's gonna cut it out anyway. I colored it, and then I gave it a little bit more dimension, you know, details by using a darker marker. So as you can see there, the edges are lighter and the middle is a little bit darker. You know, give it a little bit more detail. And I also did the same, making a smaller one. And I use a different pattern paper for behind here to make it stiff, because you know vellum is very delicate. So there it is. I was off frame, sorry. And then last but not least, this one is not finished, but I love the results and I love the way it came out. Oh, before I showed you that, I forgot to share how I did the edges to the card. So I took this die that I have here that doesn't cut properly because, you know, it's not very well made. I took the edging here and I just traced around there. And as you can see, this also has those picot edges, those little points there. And I also perforated it through the paper as well. So the paper also has that look. Okay, so the last but not least one, and it's not finished, I made this one here. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so the stamp I used for that is from this company here. It's called Simply Floral. I think the name of the company is Urban Stamp or Dole Crafts. I don't know, sorry, I can't tell you, but there it is. And this is the flower I used to stamp. This is a pretty stamp set. It's pretty nice. Okay, so I did color with Copics, and how I achieve, because when you color on vellum, it's not very pronounced. It's very like faded, and that looks pretty too. But I wanted my flowers to show. I wanted the girl to show. So what I did was I stamped it on a regular copyweight paper, you know, like for letters. And then I fussy cut it and glued it to the back. So that's how I achieved it to, you know, to brighten up. Because as you can see here, these colors that I used here, I also used on this vellum. And this one is more translucent than this. This kind of like pops more, it's brighter. So that's what I did, is I redrew the girl on copy paper, and then I just fussy cut it and glued it behind her. And I glued it strategically because glue will show through vellum. So I added some glue here, and of course I was able to add tons of glue down here because the dress is covering part of her, you know, the bottom of her dress. And then I was able to add some glue here, you know, to tack it down. So you know, that's a tip. You have to glue it strategically so the glue will not show through the vellum. This is so pretty. This one is not finished, but I wanted to share that one as well. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for stopping by. Let's share, be fair, be filled with love, and love one another. Take good care, everybody.